If you've ever wanted to play as a superhero in Baldur's Gate 3, now is the perfect time. Using the Mutant Powers mod here, you can play as Marvel's X-Men thanks to our Aurelius 2112. This adds in 10 subclass remasters, which changes around, adds the abilities of Cyclops, Phoenix, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Storm, Psylocke, Magik, Colossus, Emma Frost, and now Iceman, with more planned. So it changes things like the Battlemaster fighter into Cyclops. And with Cyclops here, he gets new maneuvers that you can add in with a bunch of different optic abilities. So I'm going to go through all the different superhero abilities and what subclasses they replace here. So first off, the Battlemaster fighter is Cyclops. And this actually starts at level 1 when you get a new fighting style, the Optic Marksman here, which adds on the Optic Blast attack and Tactical Insight, which gives a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and damage rolls for 1 turn against the target. And then upon hitting level 3, this is when we get to go with our Battlemaster maneuver. So there's Optic Trip here, which it's similar to the Battlemaster fighter where it adds the additional damage die, but it's force damage. This can knock them prone. There's the Disarm with the Optic Blast, Push, which knocks them back, Mark, which applies True Strike onto the enemy, the Ricochet Blast, which will bounce around to another target. It's one of my favorites. The Optic Explosion, which makes it a large area of effect attack, and the Optic Slam. And this one is in a cone. I like these 3 here. Those are my personal preferences. And upon hitting level 4, we get more abilities here with the Optic Jump, allowing you to use your beams to jump around with an enhanced jump, and the Optic Flash, which deals damage in a small cone to blind and push back enemies. And this is a 3d8 of force damage, and it is a bonus action. Upon hitting level 7, you get the Spatial Awareness here, which you can toggle on to give a -5 penalty to your Optic Blast attack rolls. However, you get a +10 to their damage. And once we hit level 10, we get a really cool ability here, the Eyes Wide Open. It has a pretty hefty debuff on us, so don't let that 10d10 plus 22 force damage scare you off here from thinking it's overpowered, because you then get Reeling for 10 turns. Reeling is a -10 to your attack rolls, and it goes down by 1 each turn, which is obviously pretty tough. It's a little bit harder than Radiating Orbs. But this is our capstone ability for Cyclops, the Battlemaster fighter, and what's great is you can still go and select all these. And another thing I do want to mention is if you wanted to build around like Riposte and Rally, you still can. So again, we got that Spatial Awareness here, but what I like most is how cool these VFX look with the Eye Blast. So I'm just going to go through a few different ones here to give you an idea of what they end up looking like. There's the cone ones, which spray out in an array, and then the beam ones here, which shoot a straight beam forward. And we also have the Optic Disarm here, which we can use to make the enemy drop their weapon, or the Optic Trip, which can end up knocking them prone there. So yeah, pretty fun abilities. And we'll end off with the Eyes Wide Open here, which is our super powerful big blast. Great VFX there, incinerating everything. And honestly, the Battlemaster fighter fits perfectly for Cyclops. I think this is a really interesting way in how they conveyed his powers. Now, Jean Grey Phoenix, we are a wizard this time around, and it comes with some abilities that you can get at level 1 with Telekinetic Push and Pull, doing a 1d6 of force damage and pushing and pulling the creature. And also the Telepathic Bolt, which will apply mental fatigue for 2 turns, which ends up reducing the enemy's mental saves. So this works really well. Now, you are free to use any subclass for Phoenix here, but the preferred one is to go with the Enchantment Wizard, as the abilities from this match well with this once you get to the level 10 ability for the subclass, which lets you do enchantment spells on 2 targets. Upon hitting level 2, we get the Telekinetic Slam, doing a 3d8 of force damage, or the Telekinetic Shield, which will give invulnerability for 1 turn by giving them your Sonic Energy. And level 3 spells, we get the Telepathic Assault, doing a 6d6 plus 5 psychic damage, and it applies 4 stacks of mental fatigue. Level 7 gives us the Telepathic Annihilation, doing an 8d8 plus 5 psychic damage, dealing high psychic damage, and possibly stuns the target if they're affected by mental fatigue. Stun just makes them skip their next turn, and you can preset this up with some of the other attacks that we have. And there's actually a lot of items in the game, like the Brain Drain Gloves. Whenever you deal psychic damage, you apply mental fatigue, so you can actually get this off really easily. Our level 5 spell is the Telekinetic Collapse, doing a 3d8 plus 5 force, using your sonic powers to damage all enemies with your mind and pull them towards a desired point. So this is kind of like the Black Hole Illithid ability. And our level 6 capstone spell is the Phoenix End Song, doing a 3d10 of fire and psychic damage, calling upon a cosmic entity to bring forth a fiery cataclysm upon all nearby enemies. You're then empowered by the Phoenix Force before your death and rebirth in the White Hot Room. This lasts for 4 turns. And the reason being that the Enchantment Wizard is so good is because the Telepathic Annihilation is an enchantment spell, meaning we can twin cast it, meaning we can stun 2 targets at a time if they're hit with mental fatigue, which is really easy to set up because we got so many spells that can hit and also apply multiple bolts, so we can actually use the Telepathic Bolt here to hit 3 targets with our psychic attack. If we have the brain drain gloves, then we're able to apply mental fatigue on all of them, but I guess it does naturally apply the mental fatigue. And then you go ahead with this here, which is going to stun them. I can't use this on allies, so I can't really show that one off. But yeah, stunning a target is actually pretty crazy. So you're powerful as an enchantment wizard. And telekinetic collapse has a huge area of effect here, so I might end up aggroing something in our camp because it's just such a large area of effect. Oh no, but it hits as you saw there, and if it was in combat, it would have pulled them all in. We also have the telekinetic shield here, which can make an enemy or a teammate invulnerable for 1 turn there. It's kind of like the Luke's resilient sphere, but they can still attack. And then we also have the telekinetic slam, which we can use to create this slamming attack there. It's cool stuff. And our telekinetic pull and push cantrips. Whoop. Next is everyone's favorite short king Canadian, Wolverine. So with him, he's replacing the Berserker Barbarian. He gets the Adamantium Slash, doing a 2d6 plus strength modifier slashing damage. You also get the Adamantine Swipe here, which can apply bleeding and gaping wounds on the target. Adamantine Strike, which gives bleeding and maims, which reduces their movement speed to 0. Reckless Slash, which gives basically the reckless ability, so you get advantage. Enemies get advantage on attack rolls against you. Feral Berserker Raise, which gives you the enraged throws and frenzied strike there, and then also the feral leap, which you can jump with a bonus action, knock a target prone potentially, and our healing factor. So you can use your channel your mutant healing factor, rapidly recover the amount of healing scales with your barbarian level, and twice your constitution modifier. And upon hitting level 6, we get the eviscerate, which is a 2d10, and slash with both your adamantine's claws. This is uses a rage charge and attack action, and you still keep all your other abilities too from this. And upon hitting level 8, we get the Metallic Strikes. You add your Strength modifier and your Dexterity modifier to Adamantine Claws or Metal Fists. So some of these abilities you have to be in your Rage for, but we got our Healing Factor here, which we can use to replenish some health whenever we need it. And then we got our Reckless Slashing attacks here, which we can go ahead and you see the little slashing VFX there. Some cool stuff. So yeah, these it can be a little powerful, but nothing like super broken. And honestly, the Berserker is so busted in the base game that having something new from this build is really, really fun. And you can see there 28 plus 26. It's actually pretty strong with the attacks. You can sometimes get pretty crazy damage consistently with this, but yeah, that's Wolverine, bub. Now, one of the most underrated X-Men is Storm, and she is a Storm Sorcerer, perfectly enough. She also gets at level 1 a special cantrip with the Electrocute, doing a 1d10 of lightning damage. Our level 2 spell is Funnel Cloud, doing a 44 slashing, summoning in a small tornado buffering winds that slashes target with debris to deal damage. Similar to a Cloud of Daggers, so it has that automatic damage on the enemy, which is kind of nice. Also, we got our Iceman spells here if you want to add those in, but he's a Draconic Sorcerer. Our level 3 spell is Arctic Gale, only doing a 1d8 of cold damage. However, this will also freeze targets, so they lose their turn. Freeze is crazy because it also sets up double damage from thunder, force, and bludgeoning. So yeah, you can hit some pretty big numbers here. We then at level 4 spell get Blitz, doing a 3d10 of lightning damage, calling down to hit multiple targets. And upon hitting level 11, we get our level 6 spell, Cyclone, which does a 5d8 of lightning and a 3d6 of bludgeoning, summoning a slow vortex of wind and lightning that electrocute foes, pummels them with debris. So here is the Electrocute cantrip here, so just a little blast on the target. The Arctic Gale, which can freeze targets, kind of crazy stuff there, freezing them again. They end up taking double damage, so Thunder, fire resistance, they get bludgeoning vulnerability and that force vulnerability. If you can hit them, they're going to suffer. We also have our Blitz here, which you can call down in 3 different areas, which is nice, especially if you can sometimes hit multiple targets at the same time. We also have our Cyclone here to level 6 spell, which does that big cyclone that swirls around and hits lightning on the targets and also does some bludgeoning damage too. So yeah, pretty solid. You can see there, pretty crazy damage as well. They now know to get out of it. And then we also have the Funnel Cloud here, which is like a smaller version of that there, where you can just do like a localized, kind of like Cloud of Daggers. And next up is Psylocke, who is a rogue assassin here. And with her kit, she gets a Psionic Dash, doing a 2d4 of psychic damage, which will plunge your Psyblade into target, deal damage, and causing stun, which takes them into combat for a turn. Pretty powerful level 3, but it's Psylocke. It's a superhero mod. You also get the Psionic Assassin here. Use your Psionic abilities to become invisible. Attacks against you will have disadvantage. Bonus actions and concentration. We also have the Psi Knife here, which throws the Psi Knife, make a psionic energy at a target, and silences it, does a 2d6 of psychic damage. And we get to create Psi Blades, which are like a Shadow Blade, and these will be pretty powerful. They last until long rest. So with our Psionic Dash here, you can use that to move around and can't actually hit someone with that as their teammates, but yeah, it's a mobility tool that you can use to hit targets and stun them too, which is pretty crazy. The Assassin, however, doesn't get extra attack, so obviously it's kind of weak in that regard, but you can always multi-class this with something else to make it even stronger. It also has these side blades here, which, yeah, are nice to have a bit of an extra powerful weapon on top of this. There's the side knife, which you can throw to target here, which will silence the target there. And then we also have the Sonic Assassin, which would allow us to turn invisible here, so you get a bit of extra stealth, and this looks really cool. You get that pink glow to your character, and the Sonic butterfly look to your character as well. Now, next up is Nightcrawler, who is a Way of the Shadow monk. I gotta say, they actually cooked with the design here for him. So at level 3, he gets the Bamf here, which you can phase to another dimension. To teleport afterwards, you have advantage on your next melee attack roll. And the Bamf Strike, which phases through the dimensions to teleport to an enemy and strike them with both your melee weapons using 2 key points in an action. You also get proficiency in rapiers and scimitars. Now, once we hit level 6, we hit Bamf here, which teleports you and one adjacent ally to a place you can see through a large stepping disc. The ally cannot be larger than medium. So kind of like the Shadow Step, although we got our other version of that earlier, the Bamf there allows you to take a teammate with you. So as Nightcrawler here, you can use the Bamf to basically just teleport and phase shift your way through with these really cool VFX. And then with the Bamf, with the P, you can do it with an ally. So pretty cool stuff there. We just teleport Karnak. And then we also got the Bamf Strike, which lets us dash through and attack a target. Really cool stuff. Now next up is our Magik, the Hexblade Warlock, which gives us a special soul end here, which will do our weapon damage plus a 1d4 of psychic and necrotic damage. And you'll also silence the target for 2 turns, so it's pretty nice stuff. And then we also get the Eldritch Invocation, Child of Limbo, which lets us take a stepping disc, which is a free bonus action teleport, which is really nice, kind of like the Genie teleport that you get. We can also take Devil's Sight, which is really powerful, giving us a free teleport to darkness at any time. And once we hit level 7, we get the Ruler of Limbo. So you master the use of stepping disc to pull others through the interdimensional portals. Dark Child time. So here is our stepping disc here, which we can use for a bit of a teleport. Love the yellow VFX there. And the stepping portal, which is similar to Nightcrawler's teleport ability, but big and yellow. So yeah, basically you're just gonna warp through like Magik. I don't know if you guys play Marvel Rivals, but Magik has always been a thorn in my side in that game because she's really hard to hit with these teleports, and kind of similar in Baldur's Gate 3, you can teleport her around and just be an absolute nuisance to deal with for enemies. So cool stuff, and you also got a bunch of different Warlock abilities, which are obviously strong in their own right. Now it makes perfect sense that Colossus is a giant barbarian here. So with this, we get our Steel Colossus, turn into your organic metal form, increasing constitution by 4 and increase the capacity of your carrying. We get the Osmium Smash, which smash your metal fists, send the target reeling for 2 turns. The Colossal Rage, which basically the same thing as our normal rage, double bonus on throwing attacks. And we also get our Osmium Charge here, which allows us to charge forwards, knocking a target prone, and has a strength save on that. Level 6 gives us the Osmium Slam here, which allows us to slam our arms to the ground, pushing targets back 3 meters and making them wobble on trembly legs. And level 8 gives us the Metallic Strike, similar to Wolverine's ability there, where we get our Strength and Dex modifier added to our attacks. So with Colossus, you can turn into a Metal Colossus here. So you got our Steel Colossus Rage, and boom, we are now turned into metal. So pretty cool stuff there. And we also get our Osmium Flash here. My character is flickering a little bit there, but it could be just the graphic card settings that I have. And we also get the Osmium Smash here, which is a huge area of effect smashing attack, which then pulls them all in. I broke a fire bottle somewhere. We also get this charging attack, similar to the other charging attack that we got there, which is really nice. We can send the target reeling with these punches. But yeah, this feels like Colossus, all right. And next up is Emma Frost, who is a College of Glamour Bard. That's the character design that I went with for this. One of my favorite tanks to play in Marvel Rivals. Mental as an aesthetic here, which does a 1d4 plus 3 healing. And this will be a bonus action heal that you can do on your teammates. Just a more thematic version of Healing Word. We also get the Mental Manipulation cantrip here, which does a 1d4 of psychic damage and can drop their guard, giving the target, or giving us advantage on the attack rolls against this target for 1 turn. At level 2 spells, we got Mental Paralysis here, which is a 3d8 of psychic and paralyzes targets. So it's kind of like a hold person there. Paralyzing is pretty powerful. And we also get the Diamond form here, which will increase our strength by 4 for more armor class, resistance to psychic damage, adds +2 to charisma modifier, and adds our charisma modifier to melee attack rolls and gives us the Diamond Driver and Diamond Crush abilities. We also get the Mass Mental Anesthetic here, which does a 1d4 plus 3 healing, and it's a similar version to the Healing Word. For our level 4 spell, we have Mental Mayhem, doing a 2d6 of psychic damage and applying madness, making them attack randomly for 2 turns. and the Sovereign Kneel. So your terrifying mental presence forces enemies to become prone and frightened for 2 turns in a large area. And Emma Frost in Marvel Rivals yells, "Kneel, peasants," whenever she gets her ultimate, so that fits perfectly. So, diamond form, we can transform ourselves here, and this will give us this special diamond form. It looks really cool. So now we are Emma Frost, and yeah, when we're in our diamond form, we can't attack, but we get our special punching attacks, so we have these 2 different forms here. This really does remind me of the Marvel Rivals version, because she can shift between the brute brawler type punching Emma in her diamond form, and then when she's not in her diamond form, she's able to cast kind of longer range spells. Just be mindful that the diamond form, there's no way to manually cancel it. It's not a concentration. You just got to sit here with your glowing self. A few moments later, now we can show off the Sovereign Kneel here. So I love the VFX on these. This didn't hit anyone because we weren't in combat, so it's one of those ones that's a combat-only spell. And we also got our heal here, which is really cool looking, so you can do that large area of effect, or you can heal a single target if you wanted to. And then we also have that mental paralysis here, which is a cone paralysis, which again is going to give us a crit, kind of like hold person. So that is a pretty strong enchantment spell, but it's fun. And then we also have the mental mayhem here, which you can't go against teammates with because it'll make them attack you. But yeah, finally the mental manipulation here, which I guess we also can't use either, but got the vicious mockery kind of lines there and the glowing. And finally, the newest one that was just added today, Iceman. So this is a Draconic Sorcerer, and it gets special cantrips, or it gets special spells as well. So you get an ice form here, which makes you immune to slipping on ice, resistant to cold damage, and increase ice damage based on your charisma modifier. Also gives us the ice slide here. You can dash forward, dealing damage to enemies in your path. We also get the icy blast spell that we can take here, which applies encrusted with frost for 4 turns and deals cold damage in an area. Encrusted with frost is pretty powerful because you can stack that up and do some crazy stuff with it. And again, you can also take these storm spells if you wanted to. And next up is the Arctic Gale, which is shared between Storm, but it makes sense for both these characters. There's also the Deep Freeze that we get once we hit level 7 or level 4 spell. And this will inflict frozen if they are encrusted with frost. Pretty crazy. The previous spell also applies frozen. And again, frozen will take the enemy out of combat, so that's pretty strong. And this 8d8 can also be doubled if you have like a water elemental out, which you can get tons of scrolls with. So yeah, cold damage is really, really powerful. So yeah, we got our ice slide here, which lets us slide through and then hit targets in our way and creates that ice surface there. We also have our ice form, which will make it so that we can't get slip on the ice here. So we are now made of pure raw ice, and then we also have things like our Arctic Gale, which we, again, this is one from Storm, but that'll freeze targets automatically, which is pretty strong. We then get our Deep Freeze here, so if the target has any stacks been crusted with frost, you can end up freezing them here, or since the damage is so high, someone just outright knock them out. And then we also got that Icy Blast here, which hits in a cone and does 4 turns of encrusted with frost, which is pretty powerful because that can be then chained into some of the other attacks here to freeze them. So yeah, this is a really fun class as an enjoyer of ice and cold magic, I should say. So yeah, there's a lot of really fun abilities here, and you can pair this together with some of the storm attacks too, so the full weather build. So yeah, that is the Mutant Powers Marvel's X-Men mod by Aurelius2112. Love this here, so yeah, let me know your favorite thing about this mod in the comments, and we'll catch you guys all in the next video.